Alrighty, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Professional American. This is going to be a little bit different one. I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a business recap, if you will. Got some talking I just want to do here while I get the microphone all set up in a comfortable position. Usually when I do Tales of Honor podcast, I have it set up differently for because I have to read a script essentially that I write. So this is a little bit more of a laid back episode, so I don't have to sit in the same position. But I got my trusty glass of water right here. I already had my coffee this morning, so we're good to go. This is coming out a little bit later than I like. I like them to come out first thing Friday morning, but this will be a little later. It will identify as Friday morning. So, all right. So what I have a little list of topics that I'll get to here, and go from there. So, not one thing in specific. I figured we could sit down here, have a little fireside chat, and about what things have been up to for me over the last couple months. So we'll start off with how business usually tends to go for me over the winter months. I know I made an Instagram post about this recently, and I guess I kind of could elaborate a little bit on it here. When I started the business, I knew that automotive-wise, things usually peter out over the wintertime. They pick back up again in the spring. This was a trend I saw when I worked in VW service, when I was a service advisor. I saw this when I worked in sales for Volkswagen. You'd have an uptick around Christmas and end of year. And I noticed it when I worked at a small shop over in Bethlehem. I noticed that as well. So I was expecting it, starting my own business, especially cleaning. You know, it seems counterintuitive. You would think that people would want their stuff clean during all the salt and grime months of the north here. But that is not the case, because I think a lot of people just realize, well, it's just going to get dirty again. So why bother? And I was right about that. So thankfully, there's enough people, good people, who like to keep me in business over the winter months. So I'll get orders for cleaning supplies. I'll get orders for car parts, miscellaneous stuff, and so that's typically how I make my income. So my income usually comes to a trickle over the winter. That's why I started doing Uber, not this past year, the year before, over the winter months to help compensate a little bit. A little couple bucks here and there does make a difference. Maybe I'll have to talk about Uber one of these days, do an episode on that. That might actually be an interesting one. So I am very happy that things are starting to pick up. I did no vehicles from, let's see here, I'm looking at my list here. The last one I did was January 5th was the last vehicle I had touched. So I went from January 5th, did nothing all of February as far as detailing goes until March 22nd. That's a big gap. It really is. I did some Uber in the meantime, and I did have some lift kits sell as well, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. That might end up having to be a whole dedicated episode about the manufacturing and designing process. I'll have to do that. But so yeah, mentally was not in the best headspace over the winter time. Usually, I usually go. I guess it could be. I guess it's considered seasonal affective, or whatever it is. The seasonal affective disorder, or whatever it is. Less sunlight, all that good stuff, contributing to my mood. But I usually not in a good headspace over the winter time. This year, it got real cold for us here in January and February, and so yeah, wasn't a good space. It happens from time to time with me, just what it is. But it feels really good to do work again. So the first job I got back in March was a Toyota Camry. I believe it was a Camry. Yeah, it was a Camry. With a terrible, terrible paint job. Somebody had done a respray on the car, and I don't know if it was a bad clear coat that got put on. I'm not sure. It more than likely was just one of those $500 jobs. They resprayed the car, made it look okay. There was bad tape marks everywhere. The prep work was not good. You could see sanding lines, and there was in the spray there were so many contaminants in the spray. There was defects everywhere. It was just not good. The customer came and said, like, hey, I have this film all over my car that I can't wash off. Can you get it off? And I ended up having to compound the entire car, which was weird because when he came for a consultation, the test spot, I was able to do just a little bit of polish, but it was low on the hood where the film wasn't that bad. And it came off really easy. And then when I actually got the car here, I'm like, no, this is not coming off easy. And I had to step it up to compound for the entire car. And definitely it brought it back to life. But, it was the whole managing expectations things and telling the customer, like, hey, this is not going to look perfect at all. I don't recommend putting the money in to make it look perfect because, the whole front bumper was salt and pepper from the roads, So the front bumper's got to get redone if you want it to look good. And then at that point, every other panel on the car except for the roof would also have to get done to match because the paint job is it's terrible. So don't bother. Just, it looks better now. I'll sell you some car wax to keep the UV rays from breaking it down, so wax it a couple times a year. You should be good to go. It's a daily beater. Just use it for that. So that was the first job of the year. Really kicked my butt, but whatever. Got done. Then yesterday I actually finished up a newer Subaru Outback, brought to me by a good friend Dan. Dan's mom had bought this Outback last year. It doesn't get driven much. I think it only had 8,000 miles on it in a year, so it doesn't get driven much. Garage kept, really good shape, I will say. Very, very good shape. Paint was in usually I expect a little bit of, a couple swirls here and there, a little bit of marring here and there, but this was in really good shape, actually. So did a quick polish on that, and he wanted it topped off with Opticoat Pro, so I did that. Finished that up yesterday. That's pretty much a two-day project. Morning tongue problems here, I guess. So 2-day project. Day one is the wash, decontamination, making sure everything's cleaned down to the bare surface, and then polish. Included with Opticoat, all my Opticoat jobs is just a one-step polish. So each panel gets about 3 or 4 passes with, depending on the paint, there are some paints I have to use different pads with, but for the most part, I just use I have a nice orange foam pad from the rag. I think it's from the rag company that I get them from. But it's not it's not a cutting pad. It's not a finishing pad. It's a good utility, very versatile pad that does it all. And I do each panel gets 3 or 4 passes with that and Optimum Hyper Polish, and does a really good job. And that usually gets most of everything out. So I did that with this car, and so day one is that, and then usually that gets me, depending on the car, it gets me done toward the end of business day, usually on the first day. The second day, I wipe everything down with Optimum Paint Prep, which just neutralizes. It gets rid of all any solvents. It gets rid of anything from the polish, so it just brings it down to bare paint. So it's just a clean surface for the coating to then bond to. So that's that second day. I do that right before. That's the first thing I do for the day, and then I put the coating on, and then it sits for a little bit, take pictures of it, and luckily Dan was able to come last night to take it home to his mom. And I will say the one compliment that I absolutely love to hear, and I know why I like to hear it. It's always, this looks better than the day it was bought off the dealership. Like, the day it gets brought home from the dealership is supposed to be the day it looks the best because it's brand new. You are a new owner. You have bought a new shiny new toy thing, whatever it is, and it's not supposed to look any better than that moment. And so to hear that compliment, whether it's 1 year later, whether it's 5 years later, is it looks better than the day it was bought. It's a huge compliment, and it's one of the things I absolutely love to hear. So that got wrapped up yesterday. It felt really good to do that. Let's see here. So that got done. We'll talk about wiring, I guess, too. I did some. One thing that's been keeping me busy over the winter is a lot of adapter harnesses, which is something I do for the Mark 7, specifically the all-track and sport wagon, so the wagon variants of the Golf model. Things from taillight adapters, mostly that's what it is, but recently I started doing seat adapters. People that want to upgrade their seats. For example, some of the Sport Wagon 4Motion cars came with cloth seats, and people want to put either the leatherette seats or bumping up to GTI seats or Golf R seats or leather SEL seats. They want to bump up to those, and they do have different plugs. And people don't feel like repinning. They don't feel like swapping harnesses or anything like that. So, for $140, you get something very simple to make it plug and play. And as over the years, I don't want to say I've done hack jobs, but I've done permanent modifications to things that cannot be undone. And I don't like to do that now. I've reached that point where if I can spend a little bit more time making something that can make my life easier down the road, I will do that. So that's why I started doing these adapters. I do not enjoy wiring. It's very time consuming, but unfortunately I'm kind of good at it, I guess, and I've kind of created a market for it, I guess. So I'm going to keep doing it, I guess. So that's that. So yeah, I did some seat adapters, wiring adapters for taillights, so that you can just, again, plug and play. Actually, the taillights, kind of a lie. The taillights are not plug and play. It makes them plug in properly. You still have to do coding with the computer to tell the car what needs to be done, but it's more plug and play than if you had to swap wires, splice wires and everything like that. It's more plug and play than that. Let's see here. We got that out of the way. We got that. The lift kits. So I'm going to do a more dedicated episode to this. I've just now determined I'm going to do that. Lift kits. I did sell out of my third batch of lift kits. For those that are unaware, when I bought my car, which is a Volkswagen All-Track, it's a Golf All-Track. When I bought it, it's a fantastic car. I think it checks all the boxes for me and the family, and that's all I can ever ask for. But when I bought it, shortly after buying it, I'm like, you know what? I started going down the rabbit hole of looking at lifted Subarus, and I'm like, this is kind of cool. I kind of want to do this. Every other car I've owned, I've tend to have lowered them, either on air suspension or just a mild drop. Actually, no, that's a lie. I've never done a mild drop. So, but I'm like, this would be the first time I considered about going the other direction. So at the time, there were no kits available for actually really any Volkswagen that would raise the vehicle. So I'm like, okay, well, what would it take? Started doing some looking around. I looked at the Subaru stuff. I'm like, well, this is what the Subaru guys are doing, so it can't be that much different. Lo and behold, it's not that different. But I designed a lift kit, and then I saw, like, as I was the day, like, no, I think it was the week before I announced what I was doing, for another company announced that theirs was going to be coming out. And then the design was exactly the same. I'm like, okay, I got to make some adjustments. So I made some adjustments. I looked at it a different way and came up with a modular design, which, again, I'll go into this on another episode. And anyway, so I released that. It was always, the kit has always been a pre-order, so I don't buy them for inventory. Everyone gets to essentially pick theirs out and speak for theirs ahead of time, which is nice. Kind of gives a little bit of a connection to the community, and it's kind of, I want to say kind of like a GoFundMe almost, but it's you get to, you and a bunch of other people get to buy your way in, a group buy essentially, but there's no price difference then. But a true group buy is, I think, a little bit different, but it's essentially kind of like a group buy. So all three batches of 20 officially sold out as of mid-March, or no, late March, which is it's a good feeling whenever it gets down to that last couple and they all get out the door. That's kind of been a pet project of mine for a couple of years now, and actually it would be 3 years, and it still blows me away that there's still enough of a want for it for me. I mean, I've still, as soon as the last one sells out, every batch, as soon as the last one sells out, I get emails saying, when will they be back in stock? I would like to get one. When can I get one? When will they be here? So I've already started getting them again. So I'm not going to wait as long. Usually I try to get them done over the winter time, again, to help me out through the winter. But I might do a batch over the summer, get it done a little bit earlier. Maybe if I can sell out before winter, I'll do 2 batches this year. Who knows? We shall see. But so that was a good feeling. And yeah, I will do an entire episode about that, about the development of them and the whole machining process, working with machine shops, working with AutoCAD, working, just the whole process. I will do an episode about that. That's a good idea. Thanks. I know it's a good idea. You're welcome. Great idea. Let's see here. Wookiees in the Woods is coming up. That's, let's see here. Today is Friday the 2nd. I leave in 7 days, 8, 9, 10, 11 days. I leave in 11 days to go down to North Carolina. For those who don't know what Wookiees in the Woods is, well, I'm about to pour some education on you. Wookiees in the Woods is an annual gathering of Golf R32s and Golf Rs in North Carolina near the Tail of the Dragon. And if you don't know what the Tail of the Dragon is an awesome driving road based in North Carolina and Tennessee. It starts in North Carolina. It's right on the Tennessee border. I'm actually drawing a blank now. We're going to do some live fact checking here. US 129 is the road, and US Route 129. It's a very long road. Actually, it's 582 miles long. But the part that, let's see here, and it actually goes all the way down to Florida. Wow, I didn't know that. But the Tennessee part is what concerns and interests me. So it starts in North Carolina. Goes through Tennessee into Georgia and Florida. But I believe the Dragon section specifically is all in Tennessee. So I'm trying to figure out here. Whatever. You get the point. Let's see. tailofthedragon.com. How about that? Designated US 129, the road is bordered by the Great Smoky Mountains and the Cherokee National Forest, with no intersecting roads or driveways to hamper your travel. It is considered the destination for thousands of motorcycle and sports car fans throughout the spring, summer, and fall. Can you brave it? It's best to be cautious, as the turns are tight, but the Tail of the Dragon is guaranteed to be the ride of your life. That is right off their website. It is an absolute blast. I suggest that if you don't know what it is, you look it up. We've been going since 2012 with Wookiees in the Woods. So it's every April. We all get together. Good times, seeing people from all over the country that get together here. Back in the day, we were all chatting on just forums. Now it's through Facebook and whatnot. But got my morning. Let me take a little sip of water here. It's good to hang out with those people. It's become more of like, I've always described it as a family reunion with cars, because a lot of these people, some of them I do consider to be part of, it's an extended family, and I only get to see them once a year sometimes. So, and that's really it. And so that's coming up. This, like I said, we went in 2012 was our first one, which a lot of cool people started in 2012. Man, got my morning burn pit crap coming out of my mouth here. That's another discussion for another day. So in 2012, we went in 2013. We had to miss 2014 because of a legal dispute with our landlord at the time. We had to go to court, and we didn't know when it was going to be. So we missed 2014. Went again in 2015. I went solo in 2016. Crystal couldn't make it to that one. In 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020 didn't technically. The event did not happen. Like lots of things, it got canceled. The event did. We would have honestly still went in April if it wasn't for places in North Carolina actually physically roadblocking roads so that people could not get in and out of the county. It was a weird time. That's probably taking quarantine a little too far. There were physical barriers put on the road down in that I forget which county actually did it, but right on the road, so you could not physically drive in and out. So that definitely put a hamper on us going down. So we did not go down in the spring. Instead, we did do a fall run at the last week. It was the last weekend of September, beginning of October. We went down, which was amazing, and I think we might do a fall run again this year. The temperature was nice. The scenery was nice. It was right as the leaves were starting to change, so we weren't getting a ton on the road. So we might do that again this year. But I am going solo this year. Crystal's not coming down with me for the spring run. So that is coming up. I have a few things to tidy up on the car. Got to flush the brake fluid, get tires mounted and balanced on Tuesday, and an alignment. And I think that's it. I think that's all that's left on my checklist. Yeah, tires, alignment, brake fluid, and that's it. So that'll be good to go. Looking forward to that. The event is back on this year. We'll be donating a few items to the raffle that happens every year to raise money for the Blount County Rescue Squad, and so that's a good time. Looking forward to that. I guess the last little bit here is kind of gonna a little bit of a rant and rave. Maybe I should pick one news topic every episode and just do a little bit of a rant on it. We'll see how this plays out. But it has to do with a certain donut company that I do actually really enjoy their donuts, and it has to do with them. And if you know me well enough, you probably know what I'm going to talk about. It's about Krispy Kreme. Man, do I love! I have eaten a lot of Krispy Kremes in my day. where I grew up, there was not a Krispy Kreme, so you had to travel for them. But whenever I would come in close contact with one, I would consume as much as possible. Yeah. So that's, especially, I mean, really, honestly, why deviate from the originals? I mean, the original glaze is the way to go, especially if they're fresh. I know there are better donuts, like there are different varieties, you can try other things, but I mean, it's the way to go. I mean, if you're going to get a burger at McDonald's, it's got to be the Big Mac. If you're going to go to Burger King, you got to get a Whopper. It's what you do. You know, if you go to Waffle House, you got to get a waffle. I mean, it's what you do. So you have to get, if you've never had an original glazed donut from Krispy Kreme, well, you might be better off health-wise in the long run, but it is an experience, especially if you can get it when the red light is on, that's hot. I mean, I do remember when it used to be when the red hot light was on, you got a free donut. You got a free fresh donut. I don't know if there are any locations that still participate in that. I know the one that we can visit, which is usually on the way to my parents out in Clark Summit. It's right off the turnpike, and we have to drive right past it. I know they do not. You still have to pay for it, which is disappointing. But you are still getting a nice, fresh, hot Krispy Kreme, and it does change the experience when it's fresh. But I'm not here to talk about how awesome they are. I'm actually here to complain a little bit about, as many people have done so, about the fact that they are giving out free donuts if you show a proof of vaccination. I know this may be a controversial topic, but I'm not going to get into. Look, anyone who knows me knows exactly how I feel about all this crap, so we don't really need to go down that route. But I'm going to say I'm not going to touch on whether you should or should not get a vaccine. I'm not going to talk about whether you should or should not mask, any of that crap. I'm not going to talk about that. What I will talk about is the hypocrisy of treating yourself to an unhealthy food item after supposedly making yourself healthy by getting a vaccine that significantly affects those who are unhealthy. There seems to be a failed logic here, and I think this is a larger problem than just Krispy Kreme itself. And it definitely is, because there are other companies that have come out now across the country who are offering free unhealthy food items as well. So it's not just Krispy Kreme. They just happen to be the first one to come out and do this. It's a problem. It really is. And I said this I was talking to my wife and I was talking to my dad about this recently. And I will stand firm with this, that over the last 1 year, in the beginning of what is being called the COVID pandemic, in the beginning, I will give about everyone about a 1 month leeway, a grace period of 1 month, because nobody knew anything in the beginning. We were, information was just coming out. Things were trickling out. We didn't know, is this the next bubonic plague? Like we had no idea. No one really knew much. But from the very beginning, we did know that this seemed to affect people who were metabolically unhealthy harder than anybody else. We knew this. This should not 1 year later, this should not come to a surprise to anybody. That if you are, and again, I'm very specific with saying metabolically unhealthy, because that's about 80% of the country. Ironically, 80% of the country, these are statistics that are out there, are considered metabolically unhealthy. They have, excuse me, they have high blood pressure, they have diabetes, they have some sort of underlying condition that will affect their body and their immune system specifically. And given that most of the excuse me, every morning I have this crap that comes up. I hate it. Been living with it for 10 years now, 11 years. And one day we'll find out why. But, man. Anyway, considering that most of your immune system cells are in your gut, it's the majority. And so that's not something we typically learn in health class in school. It's not something that people, it's not a main talking point that you hear about. Hold on a second. I'm going to take a quick pause here to really clear this out because this is annoying. All right. I think that's everything. I think it's all out. I think we're good to go. Sorry about that. It's annoying. And if you think it was annoying, try living with it. It's even more annoying. Anywho, it's not talking about your immune cells being in your gut. If you are constantly putting things into your gut, and your gut consists of your stomach and your intestines, that whole region. If you're constantly putting stuff in there that's making your digestive system work so hard that it cannot dedicate time to your immune cells, well, then your immune system is going to be compromised. So when you look at it that way, and again, this is not me saying this. This is a lot of people who are so incredibly smarter than me, like a lot smarter. I've dedicated probably the last 2 years of a good portion of my time listening to people who are incredibly intelligent about the digestive system and everything involving metabolic health because, well, I want to make myself better. What's my tagline I keep telling? Make every day better than the last. Make yourself better than you were yesterday. That's been my entire goal for the last 2 years. And so this is not just me saying it. This is me relaying it to you, but this is not my findings. This is what's already out there. So it makes sense that if you are constantly eating junk food or if you're eating all the time, your body never has a chance to go, all right, we're finally done processing that. Let's go on the prowl and find something that has to be wiped out, whether it's a virus, an infection, something. It never gets the chance to do that because it's constantly, oh, crap, here comes something else. We got to, here's another burger. Crap, he's eating a donut now. We got to process this. Hold on. All right. You go fight off that virus. We would normally help you, but we got to deal with this donut here. That's how this is working, and we've known from the beginning that if you are metabolically unhealthy, you are more than likely you are at a higher risk of getting sick in general, not just with COVID, but with anything. So we've known this. This was like the one thing. We knew two things in the beginning. Kids weren't getting affected by it. And if you were obese or have some sort of metabolic health issue, you were at a higher risk of it. We knew this from the very beginning. And then if you didn't, what I said to my dad and my wife, if you did not make a change over the last year, knowing this information, what the hell's wrong with you? Why would you not make a change? Even if it's just one thing, get more sleep. A lot of your digestion happens when you're sleeping. So, but again, we saw it was being promoted. Sit down and watch Netflix all the time. All these new shows. Sit down. You're at home? Why don't you watch more TV? We'll ignore that screens are not really good for your eyes and all that good stuff, and that staying up late and watching TV and not getting the right amount of sleep is not good for your body too, but watch more TV. Don't go outside. Don't get fresh air. Don't go to your gyms are closed, so you can't go to the gym and work out anyway. But why would you? I'm not saying everyone needed to go on a diet. Not everyone had to go out and run a marathon. But why would you not just make one simple change? Just one. How many people did not make one change? I would like to think that a lot of people made a change. And I think some changes did happen, but I think some of the changes weren't for the better. So, and how do I know this? Well, I have listened, spoiler, I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listened to one podcast specifically, and I've heard this from other people. The one person specifically said that since the COVID vaccination was now being opened up to people over a certain BMI, he was purposely trying to gain weight so that he could qualify for the vaccine. Do we see a problem here? And this ties in to Krispy Kreme and all these other companies. Don't get me wrong. I love Krispy Kreme. Treats are fine. Treats are an exception. Treats should be the exception. Look, if you have ice cream every single day, or if you have a candy bar every single day, or any insert whatever treat is, if you have it every day, it's no longer a treat. If you have it once a month, that's a treat. Once a week, I could argue once a week is a treat. But if you have it every day, or almost every day, that's part of your diet. That's not a treat. So, I don't even know what to say about this anymore. It goes against all common sense, and I think common sense has now become so rare that it's now a superpower. It's how I feel, and it makes it. It almost makes me bash my head against the wall, wondering, does anybody else see this? Like, I know it's seen, but how is it? And look, I kind of fault Krispy Kreme for taking advantage, but at the same time, it's a marketing strategy. They know you're not just going to go get one. You might buy you might get a coffee with that donut, that free donut. So they're going to make money. And honestly, who can only get just one Krispy Kreme? You're going to get more than one. Maybe you might start out with just getting your free one. But after you keep going, I'll get two this time. Yeah, I'm getting one for free, so I'll buy the other. It's a 50% discount right there. You know? And if you're buying for the office, well, I'll get a dozen and I get one free one for myself. So they're getting money. So I'm not mad with Krispy Kreme. They're just capitalizing on the market, and it's what they're going to do. I get it. I just don't understand as a society how we buy into it. You know, it makes no sense to me. This has been something I've caught shit for before. I am willing to listen to a lot of people. I have lots of conversations with lots of different people, some that are opposing my views, some that are not. I'm open to almost any discussion. I have changed my mind about things in the past. I've done it. The one thing that you cannot change my mind about, it would be very hard pressed. I mean, maybe I would under the right circumstances, but this is a tough one. You cannot change my mind that there is a person who honestly, truly, and wholeheartedly believes that Krispy Kreme, McDonald's, Burger King, any junk is honestly good for them. There's not one person that believes that. Now, you may not think it's bad for you, but there's no one who thinks it's good for them. So why would you put something that's not good for you? Why would you do that to yourself? Again, treat different than diet. I don't have much else to really hammer home on this one. I needed to get that off my chest. It's disgusting to see this road we're going down. Oh, hey, you got a vaccine to fight off something that you wouldn't have to get if you just treated yourself properly in the first place. So it's this weird circle that makes no sense. In theory, if you are a healthy individual, that no garbage goes in, you are healthy, you don't get sick, then there's really no need to be vaccinated against something, because even if you were to catch it, your body would do its job. Your immune system that was created, it's an awesome immune system. The design of it is awesome. There's no need to get vaccinated, because your body would then just fight it off naturally, and then you would build up antibodies, and that's how your system is supposed to work. You would recover very fast. It'd just be a mild hiccup. It'd be a hiccup in your life, no big deal. And then you'd go right back to being a healthy individual again. That's how it's supposed to happen. But instead here, we have people who are not healthy. Their immune system is not functioning that way because they're not taking care of themselves. So instead of cleaning up their life and maybe making themselves a little bit more healthy, then they get a vaccine, which, again, I'm not going to tell you whether you should or should not, but this is the hypocrisy to me here, is you get something to make you healthy, a quick fix, if you will. So then you think you're good to go, so you can resume said activities that made you unhealthy in the first place, if not double down on it. Kind of weird to me, but again, I've said this. This was a theme. This was something I said for a long time. I used to think that I was just smart enough to make people think that I was not dumb. And maybe that's the case. Maybe I'm a complete idiot. But slowly, actually more quickly now, society's proving me wrong on this. More and more people are making me think, oh, I'm actually not that dumb. There are some pretty dumb people out there. And look, if you're listening to this and your activities have done exactly what I just described, I don't think you're dumb. I think you could be smarter about it. I think it's not too late. I mean, it's never too late to turn anything around. Unless you're the ship in the Suez Canal, it's definitely too late to turn around at that point. But it's never too late. Look, last night I went out for tacos with my daughter, and I know this taco joint. Well, they're fantastic. It's not the healthiest thing for me to eat. I always seem to be about 1.5 pounds to almost 2 pounds heavier the next day because of the inflammation from their ingredients. I know that. But it's not part of my diet. It's a treat. And how do you correct that? Well, the next day is a new day. You start over the next day. That's it. Now, if your every day is going, well, I'll just start over tomorrow. Well, then that you kind of ruin it. But every day is a new day. Every day is a new opportunity to make yourself better than you were the day before. And that's going to do it for me, because I believe we've come full circle. And I've said the catchphrase now, which means it's time to leave. So every day is a new day to, it's a good thing to end on. Every day is a new day to make yourself a better person than you were yesterday. So that's all I got for today. Hopefully you enjoy this episode. If you'd like to cancel me, you can write into to professionalamericanpodcast@gmail.com. You can also find me over on Instagram, Professional American, or The Bearded Detailer, which is the underscore Bearded Detailer. Also info@thebeardeddetailer.com if you'd like to cancel me, or if you would like to talk further. You can call me. My information's there. You can write to me. You can come and visit me personally. We can have a face-to-face chat. That'd be a good one. I do require to see all smiles, though, on my property. So that's it. Have a good one, everybody. Love you all. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.